Hey, what's up? It's PDX Guitar Freak, and in this video I want to talk about the first guitar solo that I ever learned way back in the day. In addition, just as importantly, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. What was that first solo you learned? Why'd you choose it? Why was it special to you? Do you still know it? Anything else you want to add? Because I want to come back here and do a follow-up video where I recap what those most popular first solos were. And I'll do some screenshots of people's quotes if I think they're cool. That'll be a lot of fun. And what got me thinking about doing this video is not too long ago, very recently, I did a lesson on how to play that solo from Flying High Again. And someone left a comment down below about how much Randy meant to him back in the day and his playing, and I was like, that's exactly how I felt. It was the first solo I ever learned and all that. And it got me thinking about doing this video and how fun it would be. Now, some of you might be thinking, Flying High Again is kind of ambitious for your first solo, but I'm talking about the first solo I learned all the way through, okay? I'd been playing guitar for about 3 months at that point of my guitar playing life, and up to then it had been mostly like rhythm and learning songs and things like that. I also had all of the Metal Method tapes that were from Doug Marks. If you were around in the 80s, you might remember those, but I had all of them, right? It was like a little cassette that came with a little book with tabs and stuff in it. And so I knew like the basic fundamentals, like, you know, pinch harmonics, vibrato, hammer-ons, pull-offs, how to tap, and some basic licks that they had thrown into those cassettes. So I wasn't completely a noob or foreign to lead, but again, Flying High Again was the first one I learned all the way through. Also, I'm not saying that back then I played it as proficiently as I hopefully play it now. So, you know, keep that in mind. And I have actually recently uncovered in an old box the tablature, the magazine that I learned it from. So I'm going to grab that. All right, here it is. This is Guitar for the Practicing Musician, June of 1985. It's got Randy Rhoads on the front. Tablature inside. There's a picture of Randy. There's some tabs. So it's got Flying High Again, Fight the Good Fight from Triumph, band you don't hear a lot about anymore, great band. It's the Black Cadillac from Quiet Riot, not the Rhoads version, but the later version. And then China Cat Sunflower, which I believe is Grateful Dead. Anyway, you know, back then in the 80s, you know, tablature was like gold, man. To find tablature, especially for a song that you liked, was like hitting a gold mine, because you obviously didn't have the internet and the accessibility you have now. And then, you know, as the 80s progressed, you started seeing more tab books, which also were just incredible to have. Before I learned that solo, also I had taught myself scales. Well, I learned it via the Metal Method also, so I knew the basic scales, modes, and that was based on advice I had gotten from a older, more proficient guitar player who was like, he said, dude, you gotta learn scales if you want to learn solos. And I was like, okay. So I learned, you know, all the basic scales, modes, which was really helpful when learning the Randy Rhoads stuff, not only because I had practice moving up and down the fretboard, but I could put all that music theory into context, right? I'd learn a Randy Rhoads solo and it's like, okay, now he's in Aeolian, or he's in Dorian, or Phrygian, or pentatonic minor, or whatever, and it all made sense. So learning those scales in advance was really helpful. And, you know, I often recommend to guitar players who are trying to start out lead and they don't know where to start. Oftentimes I tell them, hey, learn the basic scales and learn Randy Rhoads. Learn his stuff, because you'll get a good foundation in basic melodic scale work, that kind of stuff, and you'll get the blues-based stuff too in there also, right? Some great foundations for rock and metal guitar playing. What else do I want to say about that? Oh, you know, I know a lot of times on this channel I talk about Van Halen. I got a lot of Van Halen lessons, and he was all-time my biggest influence. But learning his stuff is more challenging than Randy's because the feel's a little different. You know, Eddie shoots more from the hip, harder to replicate. But also from a music theory standpoint, when you learn Van Halen, you got to throw all the rules out the book. Because when I started learning his stuff, I'm like, there's a pentatonic thing, and then he'd do some weird run where it was a symmetrical pattern. And I was blown away, like, this is Van Halen, he's the fucking king, and he's not playing a scale. You know, I was like shocked. But again, Randy Rhoads, I think, is a great place to start. All right, now just for kicks, I'm going to throw up a picture of me back when I think I was 18 or 19 in this picture. So it's about 4 years after learning this solo. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. And yeah, that's Alice Cooper in the picture, just a chance meeting. But it's my favorite photo from back in the day, quote unquote. All right, don't forget to leave a comment down below with what your first guitar solo you learned was and why it was special to you, and do you still know it? Anything you want to add. All right, until next time, rock on.